Across the vast galaxy, there was one rule that every intelligent species followed without question. No one enters human space. It was not written as a law. It was not enforced by any galactic police. Yet every empire, every trader, every explorer knew the warning and respected it. Human territory was marked on every star map with the same symbol, a dark border around dozens of star systems. Pilots called it the Forbidden Border. For more than 200 years, no alien fleet had crossed it. No one truly knew why. Some said humans were extremely violent. Others believed they had weapons too powerful for the galaxy to handle. Many thought the stories were just old legends created by fearful civilizations long ago. But the rule remained. Stay out of human space. Inside the massive chamber of the Galactic Council, representatives from dozens of alien species gathered around a floating star map. The map showed the entire galaxy in glowing colors. And in the middle of it all, one large region stood dark and empty. Human space. The room was quiet as an elderly ambassador from the insect-like Valori species spoke slowly. 2 centuries ago, the Vortari Dominion attempted to invade that region. Many of the younger delegates leaned forward. They had heard pieces of the story before, but never the full truth. The Vortari were one of the strongest empires the galaxy had ever seen, the ambassador continued. They sent a fleet of 1,000 warships. A hologram appeared above the table. It showed rows of powerful warships moving toward a cluster of stars. They entered human space, he said. The ambassador paused. And none of them ever returned. A quiet whisper spread across the council chamber. No wreckage had ever been found. No distress signals had been recorded. The fleet had simply disappeared. Some believed the Vortari ships had been destroyed. Others believed something far stranger had happened. But no one knew for certain. A young commander from the reptilian Krax Empire suddenly stood up. His name was Commander Rithan, and he was known across several star systems for his bravery and arrogance. These are old stories, Rithan said confidently. Legends created to scare weak civilizations. Several ambassadors looked uncomfortable. But Rithan continued speaking. For 200 years, the entire galaxy has avoided a region of space because of a rumor. He gestured toward the dark border on the map. You call this human territory dangerous, he said. But where are the fleets guarding it? Where are the patrol ships? Where are the warning signals? The room remained silent. Because the truth was strange. Human space showed no visible defenses. No massive fleets. No border stations. No signals telling outsiders to stay away. It simply sat there, quiet and empty. That silence made some civilizations nervous. But to Commander Rithan, it looked like weakness. My fleet will enter human territory tomorrow, he announced. Gasps filled the chamber. Several ambassadors immediately began speaking at once. You cannot do that. That border exists for a reason. You are risking war. But Rithan raised one clawed hand and silenced them. My fleet has 50 warships, he said proudly. More than enough to handle a primitive species like humans. The old Valori ambassador slowly lifted his head. His voice was calm, but heavy with warning. Commander, the Vortari Dominion believed the same thing. Rithan smiled slightly. Then they must have been fools. The ambassador stared at him for a long moment. Finally, he said one quiet sentence. If you cross that border, you will learn why the galaxy stays away. But Rithan had already made his decision. Within hours, his fleet prepared for departure. 50 advanced warships formed a long line in space near the outer edge of the Forbidden Region. Their engines glowed with bright energy as navigation systems locked onto the first human star system. Rithan stood on the command deck of his flagship and looked out through the massive viewing window. In front of him stretched a peaceful field of stars. No defense ships. No warning signals. Nothing. He smiled. "Begin the jump," he ordered. The engines roared with power. One by one, the ships entered faster-than-light travel and disappeared into the darkness ahead. For the first time in 200 years. An alien fleet had crossed the forbidden border of human space. And far away, deep inside that silent region, something had already noticed them. Commander Rithen's fleet exited faster-than-light travel one by one, their ships appearing in the cold darkness of a distant star system. For a moment, everything looked normal. The bright yellow star shined in the distance. Several rocky planets slowly moved around it. Asteroids floated quietly through space. But something immediately felt wrong. Rithen stood on the command deck of his flagship and stared at the large viewing screen. "Report," he ordered. A navigation officer checked the scanners. No defense ships detected. Another officer spoke a moment later. No satellites. No stations. No communication signals. Rithen crossed his arms and smiled slightly. "Exactly as I expected," he said. "Human space is empty." The fleet slowly moved deeper into the system. 50 powerful warships spread out in a wide formation, scanning every direction. Their advanced sensors could normally detect objects across entire star systems. But the readings coming back were strange. One of the science officers frowned at his screen. "Commander, our long-range scanners are showing interference." Rithen turned toward him. "Explain." "The signals are fading," the officer said slowly. "It is like something is blocking them." Another officer suddenly spoke. "Navigation is also becoming unstable." Rithen stepped closer. "Unstable? Our star charts do not match what we are seeing," the officer said nervously. "The positions of several stars are slightly different from our maps." The commander frowned. "That is impossible. Star positions did not just change. They had been stable for millions of years. Yet the data clearly showed small differences." At first, Rithen assumed it was simply a sensor malfunction. "Continue moving forward," he ordered. The fleet obeyed. The warships advanced deeper into human territory. Minutes turned into hours. Still no humans appeared. No ships. No stations. Nothing. But the strange problem slowly became worse. Communication signals between ships began to weaken. Navigation systems struggled to keep accurate positions. And the long-range scanners slowly stopped working completely. One officer looked confused. "It is like space itself is interfering with our equipment." Rithen did not like the sound of that. Suddenly, a sharp alarm rang through the command deck. "Commander," a radar officer shouted. "One of our ships just disappeared." The room became silent. "What do you mean disappeared?" Rithen demanded. The officer checked the radar again. "Ship 27 was right here a moment ago, then it vanished from sensors." "Did it explode?" "No energy readings. No debris." "Did it jump to faster than light?" "No jump signature." The officer looked pale. "It simply vanished." A quiet tension filled the bridge. Rithen tried to stay calm. "Perhaps their systems failed," he said. "Open a communication channel." But no response came from Ship 27. Another alarm suddenly sounded. "Commander, another ship just vanished." Gasps filled the room. 2 ships gone. Without a sound. Without a signal. Without a trace. Rithen's confidence began to crack. "What is happening here?" he growled. The science officer slowly shook his head. "I do not know, Commander." The fleet immediately tightened formation. Warships moved closer together as weapon systems powered on. For the first time since entering human space, the proud alien fleet felt something they rarely experienced. Fear. Then the sensors detected something new. At first it appeared as faint energy signals. Small points across the entire star system. The radar officer stared at his screen. "Commander. I am detecting thousands of objects." "Ships?" Rithan asked. The officer hesitated. "No, not ships." "What are they?" The officer slowly enlarged the image. The objects appeared all across the star system, hidden near asteroids, drifting quietly near planets, and floating in deep space. Massive mechanical structures. Ancient. Silent. And suddenly, every single one of them powered on at the same time. Bright lights filled the darkness. Energy signals exploded across the scanners. Weapon systems began charging. Rithan felt a chill move down his spine. The silent territory was not empty. It had been watching them the entire time. Then every ship in the fleet received the same incoming transmission. The signal was clear. Strong. Human. A calm voice echoed through every speaker. "Unknown fleet, you have entered restricted human space." The bridge crew froze. The voice continued. "You are currently surrounded by defensive systems." Rithan slowly looked at the star map. Thousands of glowing signals now surrounded the fleet. Weapons. Platforms. Defense stations. All hidden until this moment. The human voice spoke again. Calm. Cold. And very certain. "This is your only warning. Leave immediately." For several long seconds, no one on Commander Rithan's bridge spoke. The calm human voice had disappeared, but its message still echoed inside the silent command deck. Outside the viewing window, the once empty star system now looked completely different. Thousands of massive structures surrounded the alien fleet. Some floated quietly near asteroids. Others drifted far above the system's planets. All of them were slowly turning toward the 50 warships that had crossed the forbidden border. Every single one of them was armed. The radar officer swallowed nervously. "Commander, weapon systems detected on every platform." Rithan stared at the tactical screen. Bright red symbols now covered the star map. The fleet was completely surrounded. "How many?" he asked. The officer zoomed out. The number appeared on the screen. Over 3,000 defensive structures, and more activating every second. A deep silence filled the bridge. 3,000. No one had expected this. For 2 centuries the galaxy believed human territory had no defenses. But now the truth was slowly becoming clear. The defenses had simply been hidden. The human voice returned. "Unidentified fleet, you have entered a restricted defense zone." The voice remained calm and emotionless. "Your presence here is considered a hostile action." Several officers looked toward Rithan, waiting for his decision. One of them spoke quietly. "Commander, we should leave." Another officer nodded. "Yes. We can still jump to faster than light before they attack." Rithan remained silent for a moment. His pride was fighting against the growing fear inside him. Then he spoke. "Prepare the fleet to retreat." Relief spread across the bridge. But the relief did not last long. The navigation officer suddenly froze. "Commander. What is it?" "We cannot calculate a jump." Rithan turned sharply. "Explain." The officer's hands moved quickly across the console. "Our faster-than-light systems cannot lock onto exit coordinates." "Why?" The officer pointed to the star map. A strange energy field had appeared around the entire system. "Some kind of spatial distortion," the science officer said slowly. "It is interfering with navigation." The truth slowly became clear. They were trapped. Rithan felt anger rising inside him. "Humans created a trap," he said quietly. The human voice returned once again. "Your fleet is now inside a controlled defense grid. Faster-than-light travel is disabled. The officers looked at each other in shock. The humans had predicted everything. The alien fleet had not simply entered human space. They had entered a carefully designed trap. Rithan clenched his fists. "You think you can threaten us?" he growled. He turned to the weapons officer. "Target the nearest defense platform." The officer hesitated. "Commander, attacking may trigger their entire defense network." "That network has already activated," Rithan replied coldly. "If we do nothing, we remain prisoners." The bridge crew waited. Then the weapons officer slowly nodded. Target locked. The large warship adjusted its position. Energy cannons began charging with a deep humming sound. Across the fleet, other warships followed the same order. Dozens of powerful alien weapons pointed toward the nearest human platform. For a moment, the entire star system seemed to hold its breath. Then Rithan gave the order. Fire. A massive beam of bright energy shot across space. The blast struck the nearest human platform with incredible force. A flash of light filled the darkness. When the light faded, the platform was still there, completely undamaged. The crew stared at the screen in disbelief. "Impossible," one officer whispered. The human voice returned immediately. But this time it sounded colder. "Hostile action confirmed." All across the star system, thousands of human defense platforms suddenly moved. Energy weapons began charging. Hidden launch bays opened. Missile systems activated. The quiet star system turned into a battlefield in seconds. The human voice spoke one final time. "You were given a chance to leave. Now you will learn why the galaxy fears human space." And then, the real human fleet arrived. Dozens of enormous warships emerged from the shadows of nearby asteroids. Others appeared from deep space using advanced stealth technology. These ships were larger than anything the alien fleet had ever seen. Their dark hulls were covered with glowing blue energy lines. Weapons large enough to destroy entire fleets slowly rotated into position. Rithan stared at the screen. For the first time since entering human space, he understood the truth. Human territory was not empty. It was a fortress. And they had just attacked it. Commander Rithan stood frozen on the bridge of his flagship. The tactical screen in front of him was now filled with red warning symbols. Moments ago, his fleet believed they had entered an empty region of space. Now they were surrounded by thousands of defense platforms, and something far worse. Human warships. They appeared slowly from the darkness, like silent giants waking up from sleep. One by one, massive ships emerged from behind asteroids, from the shadows of planets, and from deep space itself. Some were twice the size of Rithan's flagship. Others were even larger. Their dark metal hulls reflected the light of the nearby star, and glowing blue energy lines ran across their surfaces like veins of power. The alien officers stared at the screen in disbelief. "Commander. I am counting at least 70 human battleships," the radar officer whispered. Rithan clenched his jaw. 70. Each of those ships was larger and more advanced than anything his fleet possessed. But the worst part was their formation. The human ships were not moving randomly. They were positioning themselves with perfect precision. Every alien warship was now locked inside a carefully calculated firing zone. The humans had already predicted where the alien ships would try to move. The science officer spoke quietly. This is impossible." Rithan turned toward him. "What is impossible?" The officer pointed at the tactical map. "The human fleet is coordinating with the defense platforms." The screen showed hundreds of energy signals connecting the ships and platforms together. "They are sharing targeting data instantly," the officer continued. "That means every weapon in this system can fire with perfect accuracy." The realization hit the entire bridge at the same time. The alien fleet was not facing separate defenses. They were facing one giant coordinated weapon system. A single voice suddenly filled every communication channel again. This time the signal came from one of the massive human battleships. The voice was calm, controlled, and completely confident. Alien fleet, this is Human Defense Command. You have violated restricted territory and initiated hostile actions. Rithan stepped forward and activated the response channel. This is Commander Rithan of the Krax Empire, he said loudly. You have trapped our fleet inside your system. There was a short pause. Then the human voice replied calmly. Correct. The simple answer made the bridge even more tense. Rithan continued speaking. You will release our fleet immediately. Another short pause. Then the human voice answered again. Negative. Across the alien fleet, weapon systems began charging. Rithan was not ready to accept defeat. All ships, he ordered, prepare for full combat. Energy cannons powered up across the 50 alien warships. Missile launch systems opened. Targeting computers searched desperately for weak points in the human formation. But the humans moved first. Without warning, several human battleships shifted position. Their enormous main cannons began to glow with blue energy. The alien sensors immediately screamed warnings. Commander. Massive energy readings. Before anyone could react, the human ships fired. Blinding beams of concentrated energy cut through space like lightning. The first alien warship was hit directly. For a brief moment, its shields tried to resist. Then the shields collapsed. The ship exploded into thousands of glowing fragments. Gasps filled Rithan's bridge. Another beam fired. A second alien warship lost all power instantly. Its engines died, and the ship drifted helplessly through space. The human attacks were terrifyingly precise. They were not firing randomly. Each shot disabled a specific target with perfect accuracy. The alien fleet fired back desperately. Dozens of energy blasts rushed toward the human ships. But the humans were already moving. Their warships changed position with incredible speed. Alien weapons missed their targets again and again. Meanwhile, the defense platforms joined the battle. Hundreds of smaller weapons began firing from every direction. Missiles streaked across space. Energy beams crossed the battlefield. Within minutes, the alien formation began to collapse. Ships lost shields. Weapon systems failed. Engines shut down. Commander Rithan watched the battle unfold with growing horror. This cannot be happening, he whispered. His fleet had fought many battles across the galaxy. They had defeated pirates, raiders, and even small empires. But they had never faced anything like this. The humans were not just stronger. They were smarter. Every movement of the alien fleet had already been predicted. Every escape route had already been blocked. Every weapon system had already been countered. The alien fleet had never stood a chance. And slowly, Commander Rithan finally understood the truth. Human space was not empty. It was the most heavily defended region in the entire galaxy. A fortress built quietly over centuries. And they had walked straight into it. The battle did not last long. What felt like hours to Commander Rithan was, in reality, only a few minutes. One by one, the alien warships were disabled. Some ships drifted in space with their engines destroyed. Others floated silently with their weapons completely shut down. A few had been destroyed when they tried to fight back too aggressively. Out of the original 50 warships, less than 20 were still operational. And even those ships had lost most of their power. The once proud alien fleet now looked broken and helpless. On the bridge of the flagship, the atmosphere had completely changed. The confidence and pride from earlier had disappeared. Now there was only silence. Commander Rithan stared at the tactical screen. Human battleships surrounded them in every direction. The massive ships waited calmly, their weapons ready but no longer firing. It was clear that the humans could destroy the remaining alien ships at any moment. But they did not. A communication signal suddenly appeared again. The same calm human voice spoke. "Alien fleet, your ships are now fully contained." Rithan slowly activated the response channel. He no longer sounded arrogant. "What do you want?" he asked. There was a short pause before the human officer answered. "We want you to leave." The simple answer surprised everyone on the bridge. Rithan frowned. "You trapped us here. You destroyed half of our fleet." The human voice remained calm. "You entered restricted space and attacked our defense systems." Rithan had no response to that. The humans continued speaking. "Human space has one rule. No unauthorized fleets enter our territory." Rithan slowly looked at the tactical screen again. Thousands of defense platforms. Dozens of massive human battleships. An entire region of space protected by one enormous defense network. For 200 years, the galaxy had wondered why no one dared enter human territory. Now he finally understood. Humans had not been hiding. They had been preparing. For centuries, while other civilizations fought wars and competed for territory, humans had quietly built the most powerful defensive system in the galaxy. Every star system was connected. Every defense platform shared information. Every human warship moved as part of a single coordinated network. It was not just a fleet. It was a fortress that stretched across dozens of star systems. Rithan spoke again, his voice much quieter now. "You could destroy us all." The human officer answered immediately. "Yes." Another short silence followed. Then the human voice continued. "But humans do not seek unnecessary war. You made a mistake." The alien crew listened carefully. "We will allow your surviving ships to leave." Rithan looked around the bridge. His officers could hardly believe what they were hearing. The humans were letting them go. "Why?" Rithan asked. The answer came without hesitation. "Because the galaxy needs to understand something." The human officer spoke slowly. "Human space is not a threat. But it is a warning." Suddenly, the strange energy field surrounding the system began to disappear. Navigation systems came back online. Faster-than-light drives started working again. The path out of the system was open. The human voice spoke one final time. "You may leave." Rithan stood silently for several seconds. Then he gave the order. "All ships, prepare for jump." The damaged alien fleet slowly aligned for faster-than-light travel. Within minutes, the surviving ships disappeared from the system. The battle was over. Days later, Commander Rithan stood once again inside the chamber of the Galactic Council. This time, the room was completely silent. Every representative waited for his report. Rithan looked at the star map floating above the council table. The dark border of human space still remained there. He took a slow breath before speaking. "The stories were true," he said quietly. "The galaxy avoids human space for a reason." The council listened carefully. Rithan continued. "Humans are not hiding. They are ready." He pointed toward the dark region on the map. "That is not empty territory. It is the strongest fortress in the galaxy." A deep silence filled the chamber. From that day forward, the rule remained stronger than ever. No alien race dared to cross the border again. Because now, the entire galaxy finally knew the truth behind the terror of human space.